Hi, Colts. This is Mrs. Hladun. I'm here to read a story for you about a really amazing athlete named Michael Jordan. He was a very famous basketball player back in the 90s in particular. And this story is called Salt in His Shoes. It was written by Deloris Jordan, who's Michael Jordan's mother, and Roslyn Jordan, who was Michael Jordan's sister. And it was illustrated by Kadir Nelson. So here we go. Let's jump in. And this book is an old library book I bought from a library, so it's a little bit funky. So here's the cover page, The Salt in His Shoes, Michael Jordan in Pursuit of a Dream. There's a picture of Michael. Michael loved to play basketball. Every Saturday, he followed his older brothers, Larry and Ronnie, to the park, hoping they would let him play. And if one of the guys who usually played with them didn't show, they always did. But there was one problem. His name was Mark, and he was the tallest boy on the court. "What's the matter, Mikey? Too short?" Mark flapped his arms in Michael's face. "Over here," shouted Larry. But when Michael threw the ball, Mark's long arms came out of nowhere and knocked the ball away. It flew into the hands of a player on Mark's team. He made the basket, and the game was over, just like that. "I'm really sorry, guys. If I were taller, that wouldn't have happened." All the way home, Michael apologized, even though no one was mad at him. His oldest brother, Ronnie, tried to cheer him up. "Look, little brother, you played good today. Don't worry, we'll win the next time." Look at how much taller his brothers are than he is. When they got home, Michael went into the kitchen where Mama was cooking dinner. He was still disappointed, and she could tell. "You guys lost again today, huh?" Michael nodded. He sat quietly for a minute and then said, "Mama, how can I grow taller?" Now, Mama knew the answer to a lot of questions, but this was a tough one. She thought for a moment as she sprinkled salt and pepper on the chicken she was making for dinner. Then she smiled, looked at Michael, and said, "Salt." "Salt?" Michael looked at his mama. "Salt in your shoes. We'll put salt in your shoes and say a prayer every night. Before you know it, you'll be taller," she replied. Do you think that's true, or do you think she's just telling a story to give him motivation and courage? You think she's telling a story? Let's find out. "Salt in my shoes," Michael said quietly to himself. Surely Mama was teasing. He sat staring out the window, trying to figure out how salt was going to help him grow. He noticed the rose bushes outside in Mama's garden. They had grown high along the fence, and the roses of all colors were blooming on the vines. He thought to himself, "I remember when Mama first planted those bushes." Michael's face lit up. If Mama knows how to make those rose bushes grow taller, then maybe she's right. Maybe salt in my shoes really will help me grow. Growing more excited, Michael twirled around and started asking lots of questions. "Mama, how long will it take? And how tall do you think I'll get?" Smiling, Mama sat down next to him and explained, "In order for this to work, the most important thing you have to do is be patient and listen to what I tell you and say your prayers every night." Listening carefully, Michael shook his head. "Okay, Mama, I'll be patient, but what does saying my prayers have to do with it?" "Everything," Mama replied, and she hugged him. "Now go wash up and tell your brothers and sisters to get ready for dinner." Michael dashed out of the kitchen, almost knocking over his father, who was walking in. "What's he up to now?" asked Daddy. "Oh, the usual, Mom," laughed Mama, "chasing a dream." Later during dinner, Mama noticed that Michael was barely eating anything. He was already daydreaming about being taller. "Michael, first things first, you don't grow if you don't eat, especially your vegetables," Mama said. "But I'm not hungry," he said. Raising her eyebrow, Mama gave him a stern look. Slowly, Michael picked up his fork and began to eat. Minutes later, his plate was clean and he was asking for more. That evening at bedtime, Michael set his favorite game shoes on the floor next to his growth chart hanging by the wall. Then he put his pajamas on, said his prayers, and jumped into bed. It looks like right now he's about 5 feet 1 inches tall, according to his growth chart. When Mama came in, Michael was fast asleep. By the look on his face, she could tell he was already playing basketball in his dreams. Standing by his bed, Mama sprinkled salt in his shoes. Then she prayed quietly over him as she did all of her children. "Dear God, please help Michael be the best he can be and to give him the best in all that he does. And Lord, could you help him be just a little bit taller tomorrow than he is today? Thank you. Amen." After that night, Michael wore his favorite game shoes everywhere he went, even to church. and he stopped going to the park with his brothers on Saturdays. Instead, he stayed home and practiced. He wanted to grow a few more inches before he went back to the park. After 2 months of practicing and waiting patiently and praying, Michael stood next to the growth chart on his wall. Nothing. He hadn't grown an inch. He was disappointed, but he did not stop believing. I've just got to give it time, like Mama said, Michael thought to himself, and that's what he did. 2 more months of practicing went by and still nothing. Now Michael was becoming a little sad. Not only had he not grown 1 inch, but he'd also missed playing basketball with Larry and Ronnie. About the only thing he didn't miss was being picked on by Mark. When the next Saturday came, his brothers tried to get Michael to go with them to the park, but he wouldn't budge. Mama had begun to worry. When she saw Michael sitting alone on the steps, she said to Daddy, maybe you should go talk to him. So Daddy went out and sat with Michael. What's wrong, son? You haven't gone to the park with your brothers for a while now. Are you okay? Michael didn't say anything at first. Then he looked at Daddy and said, I thought I would at least be a few inches taller by now. I did everything Mama told me to do, but nothing's happened. Michael, why do you want to be taller? If I were taller, I'd be a great player and I could help our team win, Michael answered. But you are a great player, son, and you already have everything it takes to be a winner right in here. Daddy tapped Michael on his chest. Being taller may help you play a little better, but not as much as practice, determination, and giving your best will. Those are the things that make you a real winner. Michael thought about what Daddy said for a minute. Then suddenly he jumped up and took off. Where are you going? Daddy yelled after him. I got a game today and I'm late, Michael yelled back. When Michael reached the park, the game had started. He sat on the bench hoping he'd get a chance to play, and he did. The game was almost over and the score was tied when John, one of the guys on Michael's team, fell and hurt himself. Here was Michael's chance. Michael joined the team in the huddle and as they gathered on the sideline for a timeout. Okay, the game's tied. All we need is 1 point. Who wants to take the shot? Ronnie said. He looked in Michael's direction. Feeling more confident than ever, Michael said, I'll do it. What do you think is going to happen? Have any predictions? Ben, what do you think? Do you think he's going to make it, or is he going to mess the shot up? Miss. You think he's going to miss it? All right, let's see what happens. When the whistle blew and the game began, Mark began to pick on Michael as usual. Still trying to play with the big boys, huh? Mark taunted. But Michael paid no attention. Taller or not, he had been practicing, and today he was determined to win. Larry threw the ball inbounds to Michael. Michael caught it, bounced it for a moment, and then took off running. As he approached Mark, Michael shifted to his right. Mark followed, but while he was still shifting, Michael spun to his left. He stepped behind Mark and shot. The ball arced over his opponent's hands and fell silently through the hoop. 2 points. The game was over. Michael's team had won. It was just as Michael had dreamed. When he realized what he'd done, Michael took off running and didn't stop till he reached home. That must have been a pretty proud moment, don't you think? What do you think caused him to make this winning shot? Do you think it was because he grew a lot, or do you think it was something else? I mean, we know he didn't grow a lot. So what do you think caused him to be more successful this time, Ben? He did eat a lot. Any other ideas? He practiced a lot. And what I think the other thing he did was he thought a lot about how he wanted to get better, right? Like he lived and breathed that dream while he waited to grow. Okay, let's see what he does when he gets home. Bursting through the door, he shouted, I did it, Daddy, I did it. I shot right over the tall guy's head and we won the game. Running in behind him, Ronnie and Larry joined the celebration. That's right, little brother, you did it. You won the game for us. Michael remembered the look that Ronnie gave him during that last time out of the game and said, no, we won the game, but I was the star. They all laughed. After that, Mama stopped putting salt in Michael's shoes, but Michael did not stop being patient and working hard and praying. The end. Oh, whoops. So that must be what made Michael grow to be 6 foot, 6-inch tall basketball superstar. He was awesome. That's Michael Jordan right there. Number 23 for the Bulls. He was like the most amazing basketball player ever. If you've never seen Michael Jordan play, you should go watch some YouTube videos of Michael Jordan's best shots because he was amazing. Amazing. I guess there's a really good new thing on ESPN about him too. Like I think it's called Chasing Dreams or something. Anyways, if you have ESPN, that might be something to check out. It's a documentary about Michael Jordan, about his life and growing up and how he achieved his dreams. And it particularly focuses on the last, one of the last times he won the NBA championship when he was on the Bulls. And that was when like Kobe Bryant was playing and other really big basketball players that you might be familiar with. So check it out. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the story about Michael Jordan, and even people who are famous and super, super successful, they had to work really hard to get there. So remember that. If you work hard today, it might turn into the dreams that you have coming to fruition in the future. Have a great day, Colts. See you later. Bye.